Hey there, welcome back to the table. We're getting ready to start round two. So I know the thing that I personally like about this game is you only had like two actions in that first round. You start with 140 bucks. We spent, 80 of it just to get the influence to where it needs to be. You saw how there was a rush on the workers. I think you can expect that in most games. Because if you think about it, there wasn't a lot of other actions that we can do because you run out of money fast. That's the thing. I mean, you could, I think, try something a little crazier, but remember, you have to lay track, and in order to lay track, you need effort points, and you only started with two workers, and that's only two effort points, blah, 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 blah. The only way you could have done something different was if one of these tokens was connected to Vienna. If this was connected to Vienna, you could have not hired workers and chosen to lay track to this city first. And then, maybe go from there. But this is sort of a crappy city. I mean, it gives you a factory location, but there's not much else to get. And then some other people might argue, well, you still want to hire workers, Jeff, and now you might be able to connect to two cities, right, for that one action instead of just one, which is what happened in our case. So I still think that it would mostly play out the way that you saw. But with that being said, the choices were tough, and you need to really think a little bit. And then some people, I would think, maybe won't like this game because it will punish you for not thinking ahead. That teal player, I spent a long time thinking about how that teal player is going to get their 50 bucks so they can do the free action and connect to the hub city, because that was important to them. And I do have it figured out how they're going to get the 50 bucks. I have to remember that now. But like I had to really sit there and if I was playing with other players, that would cause me to get analysis paralysis, and it's not fun for them. So there's always this pressure to make a quick decision. And this game has a lot of deep decision making. With that said, you don't have to be perfect to enjoy a game. And I know some people like to be absolutely perfect, and I think they would be very annoying to play with on this game. Because their desire to be absolutely perfect turns this into a chess game where you basically go off and you could write a 3-page essay in between your turn and theirs because it takes them that long to decide what to do. So with that said, let's not make a 3-page essay on how to start this round. So let's start with here. So the very first action is a simple one. It's just saying take back your workers. So, we get back take back your actions is what I mean, not your workers. So everybody gets back their actions. I'm just going to go ahead and move these to the various locations for the players. And that is done. Okay, so very easy. Most of these steps that we didn't get to see in the first round are very simple. Now this next one is you have to take your resources and put them on your train. Hold on, I need one second. The step I was thinking of is this one. This one is you get your reserve resources available to you. This one, I need to, I know what that one is. That's telling you to put your, to fill this. So we moved to round 2 here, and we get extra actions. So this becomes available. So now we're going to get to do 3 actions this round. And what it's saying is, see, in this situation, there's resources that would go onto the resource pool. That's what this is saying right here. And then this one is saying if you have resources here, you have to put them on your train or on here, or you lose them. So there's no resources on anybody's reserve pool, but you do have to have room for them. So always remember that. The next one, we collect income. In our case, we get 10 bucks. So I'm going to put the camera down real quick. That's 10 bucks for us. For purple, it's the same, 10 bucks. So purple only has 10 bucks. And then for teal, it's 20 bucks because they did this. So they get 10 plus 10, that's 20 bucks. And I realized I forgot to do Oh, never mind. No, I'm good. So 20 bucks. So you can see here that teal is at 40 of the 50 that they need. And then red only gets 10 bucks. And so here we go, 10 bucks for red. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Okay, so everybody got their income. It's not a lot at the start. Teal, of course, is gonna make the most of getting that early income going. That was Red's strategy. They wanted to get that early income going, and I think they will, but they sort of had to do what they did. Like I said, they really wanted those bonus tokens, but they didn't get it with the way that they chose to go. So next up is train your workers. Okay, so the way this works is your workers that are in the training spot, starting from the right and going left, they would move to the right. So obviously if you're here, you're maxed out. There's no more moving to the right. But if you were here, these workers would move over, and then we're here, so we're gonna move workers. All of them have trained to level 2. Okay, now it's gonna get more interesting with the other players. So the purple player here, this one trains the level 2, but these ones, since they worked, they didn't do any training, so now they come back and they stay at level 1. So that's the dynamic I'm talking about. So, and then so basically you would move everybody over, and then whoever's up here just moves down. Okay. Now, one key thing to understand is if you spent workers up to here to lay track, you can use those same workers to build factories. So that is some concept that you may be able to take advantage of. Obviously, nobody built a factory, but that's something that is possible. Here with teal, they spent all their workers, so they all just go down. Nobody moves up. And then red does have a nice middle ground where 2 of them trained and then 3 of them stayed behind. So there's really no harm in the fact that you don't train your workers. It's just that by training them, they're more powerful for later actions. So this is a bit of an engine building component here. And so it's either, get your satisfaction now or get your satisfaction later. So what we're trying to do with our strategy is get our satisfaction later. And that's the thing I'm trying to do here. I don't know, like we said, we're going to find out how well that works. Okay, then the next one is we determine player order. And it is going to change because red moved up. So red is actually going to go up to second, and then everything else stays the same. And then there we are. We're back to actions again. So it's very quick. There's not a lot that has to be done. And here we go. We're up to actions, and the first player is the teal player. Now, the teal player is sitting on 40 bucks. They want to do the free action to connect to Amstetten. And they also want to get some factories up. And the problem is they can't do both. And that's where this gets really challenging. So they could take 10 bucks, which is the same thing we did. Get to their 50 and connect to Amstetten. But here's the problem. Once they connect there, so what? It's not like anything magical happens. They can deliver a resource, yes, but there's no resources built yet. They don't have any factories. So that's some of what my struggle has been is, do I really want to spend my money right away to connect to a hub city when that hub city isn't going to necessarily do me any bonus? So let me think about what I want to do, and I will be back. Okay, I basically concluded I don't have any benefit of connecting to Amstetten. The one thing about connecting to Amstetten is that it doesn't cost my workers anything to do that, because you're paying money. That golden crown it's just you're paying money to use government track, basically, I think is the way I understand it. So you don't have to use workers because the track is already there. You're just buying the rights to it. I could take 10 bucks, which gets me to the 50, spend all 50 to be the first to connect to Amstetten. That does work. The problem is what am I going to do after that? Because I'm going to have no money and I have no way to make money. So that is my concern. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to just wait and do that a little bit later. So what I'm going to do instead is, well, I need resources. That's one thing. And I also need a factory. And Teal is all about factories. So let's build one. And there's no reason to wait. I know we talked about, you don't do it in the first round of the fantasy football draft, but I think we're now, Teal's going to start it. And so let's build a factory. That factory is going to only use a level 1 worker, which is not ideal. But there's some really nice factories available here. And let's talk about how the factory action works. First thing you have to do is you have to pay the cost of the factory. So you can see here that the factory cost is written on the left side. This factory, for example, costs 30. And then what you'll do is you'll take this marker, and then you'll see now there's 2 numbers. This factory here will cost 30. You always look left to see what it would cost. But if I deliver any iron goods, which are these cubes, I'm going to make $100 for delivering that good. So yes, you have to pay more for the factory, but that's a really nice income. Okay, so you can make $100. This one you'll make $80, but you only have to pay $10 for the factory. And if you think about it, this is overall a better profit margin, right? You're making a profit margin of 70. Here, I guess it is, they're both 70, right? You're going to spend 30 to make 70. You're going to spend 10 to make 70. Or here, you're going to spend 10 to make 60. So the profit margin is a little worse for there. So for the money, the stone is the way to go. Now, the other thing you need to bear in mind is what kind of contracts are you going to take? So the contracts are going to dictate a lot. So for example, I'm just going to go grab a few here. Let's say these are 2 contracts you were eyeing up. Maybe let's look at which one pays the most. The absolute most is this one right here. This is the highest paying contract in the game. So let's say that's the one I want to take first. Well, I need an iron and 2 coal factories. So if I build a stone factory in this case, that's not as good because my stone factory doesn't help me fulfill any of these contracts. So that's another thing you got to bear in mind. So if you want to take the most highest paying one, then that might dictate, okay, since there's only a $30 profit in each of the 2 situations, I'd rather, build the iron one instead of the stone one. Now, there are some stone ones here, though. At the higher paying ones, 370 was the highest. And you can see that for 300, there's a nice even smorgasbord. That one's 270, so it's a whole $100 less, but you got 2 cheaper factories. And then that one is significantly less, so not quite as good. But basically, there's a lot of choices at the beginning of the game. But so now, what would we do? Well, the difference for us is you're spending money now to get money later. And I can spend $30 for this, but remember, I only have 40 total. So now I'm back to $10 and I'm stuck again. Like, how do I can't deliver any goods until I get that connection to Amstetten, the hub. I have to connect to the hub first, or any other city that will take a good, in order for me to deliver a good from my factory and make the money from it. So it would be nice to make that $100, but I got to get connected to a hub to be able to make that $100. I mean, just to refresh, like this city here will buy an iron, but you got to be connected to it. So the hubs, up here, you can see that hub will take iron, but I need the $50 to finish my connection to the hub. Now this hub up here will take stone, but then I need resources to lay that track. So that's part of my dilemma. And I want to look up one more thing in the rules before I tell you what I'm going to do. And 1 second. Okay, the rule I wanted to look up was, can you deliver goods to a hub city if you don't have enough influence? And the answer is yes. So this blue and white city, we can deliver goods to them, even though we don't have the influence to match them. So my apologies if I misled you there. The importance of matching the influence of a hub city is the ability to hire workers from them. So right here, there's some really cheap workers available for you to hire, but you need to have enough influence on that city. But you can still deliver goods as long as you're connected to that hub. So there is, we're not restricted to connecting to brown and green first. If we connect to white over here, we can deliver goods to them just as easily. There's no requirements there. So total errata on that situation. I think I definitely misled you there. So getting back to my point now, we've already committed to going west, and we're going to commit to spending $50 to connect to Amstetten, which is still the best way to get there, because getting the resources necessary to lay track is going to be a lot harder. So how do I want to make my money? My answer is I don't want to spend 30 of my $40 right now. I only want to spend 10 of my $40. So we're going to make a stone factory. We get the same profit for delivering these goods. And yes, it doesn't help me to get the most lucrative contract out there, but it's still good enough to help me with some contracts somewhere. And that's all I care about at the moment. I just want to get, this is an early round of the game. And I just need to get my engine going, like my engine building, and I need income. Scraping on 30, $40 is not going to get me through this game. I need income, and we made a decision with this player that we're going to not sell stock. So the only way to get income is to deliver goods, and this is a really great profit margin for only $10 investment. So what you do is you take this factory, you put it here, you spend your $10, right? So that goes over here. And then you have to take one of your workers, and it's permanently going to be removed. So now they're down to 3 workers, which is not an ideal situation. But, it is what it is, and that's what you're going to have to live with for now. So you take your worker, and then because that worker was a level 1 worker, it says right here 2 cubes. So you take 2 of the stone cubes. I'm sorry, I'm trying to reach and hold the camera. So that worker plus the 2 cubes goes onto the factory spot on the board here. It doesn't matter which one you pick. We'll pick the one that's closest to where it's going to be delivered. And so that worker has 2 cubes, and you can do it either way, put it next to them or whatever. And remember, that factory will never produce again. That factory only has 2 cubes for the whole game, so use them wisely. Now that the factory has the goods, you can either deliver them to a hub or some city, or you can take the resources through one of those other actions and then load them on your train, because stone is one of the necessary materials to lay down track. It's one of the 3. So just by building that factory, I now produced enough resources to get 1/3 of the way towards laying my next set of track. All right, so hopefully that's all starting to connect for you. And I'm 18 minutes in, and I just took one player's turn. So let's keep going. Next up is red. Now red was a little bamboozled here because red needs these things to make money. Red only has $10 to his name. So what is red going to do? I'm going to pause and think this over. Okay, I thought through Red's situation. Red only has $10. And he's in a bad spot. The bad spot is he's connected to a city that doesn't do much for him. Like, he got an influence for connecting there, but it's not like there was no business bonus for going there. There was also, like, he's going to need to lay more track to go somewhere else. So to lay more track, he needs to collect all 3 resources: wood, stone, and iron. And that's a big pickle for him, because he has none of those at the moment, and he only has $10. He also, so he can't lay track. He can manipulate the stock market. He can upgrade his train to a level 4 train for $10. The way this works when you buy a train is you can spend 40 for a new train, or you can spend the difference. So he has a 30 train right now, and the difference between a 30 and a 40 is $10. So he could spend $10 to upgrade the train. And in doing so, the number of cars that a train has is just this number divided by 10. So 40 means it's going to have 4 cars. And right now 30 means it has 3 cars. So I'm just going to show you my player board here. So you can see this 30 train has 3 cars. If you upgrade it to a 40 train, it's going to now have a fourth car added on, which is powerful. You need that. But is that the best use of his $10 right now? Because that's all he has is $10. And my answer is no. So it's a nice little option, but it's not one we want to do. We need to make money. So how are we going to do that? He was not going to sell stocks because that's not a thing he wants to do, but maybe he does want to do it because that'll help him get some income. But $40 is just such an awful decision. He can't hire workers. He doesn't want to spend his $10 to move up one influence. That's not going to be good. So what's the best use of his $10? And to be quite honest, the best use of his $10 is to build a factory. Because then he at least gets resources that he can take from the factory for free. The other thing he can do is he can buy a resource from the market for $10, but only one. He needs 3 of them. So that's his dilemma. He is going to get 3 actions this round. So if he builds a factory, he'll have a resource he can take for free. That's 2 actions, 1 to build, 1 to take. Then the third action is he can just collect $10, sort of like what we did. Or he can just take a resource from this for $10, and then he's down to 0 money, and then he can collect $10, elsewhere. So what I think he's going to do is the best use of his money or his action economy is to buy resources from here. He can buy 1 immediately, or he can buy 2 that'll arrive next turn. And how do we know it's 2? Just a reminder, it's right up there. See that 2 on round 2? So that was randomly put there, that 2. So he's allowed to buy 2 resources this round. So this is such a crazy use of his actions, but I can definitely understand it. He's going to spend his action to collect $10. Now, in doing so, that puts him up to $20. And now you can see he can buy 2 of these resources for $10 each. And he can do that. And he's allowed to reserve 2 resources for the next round. So this $10 is going to help him, but he has to wait until it's his turn again. The other players may even be smart enough to see what he's trying to do, but I don't think they're going to really try to stop them, because even if they bought all the resources, the next row is also worth $10. So his strategy won't be interfered with. Okay, next up is us, yellow. We have the ability to lay tracks, and we have all these level 2 workers. So I think one of our things we want to do is take advantage of what everybody else was not able to do, and that's lay track and connect to 2 cities. So that's my thoughts. We have 2 points here. So 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 10 points worth of track laying we can do. Now, there's a lot of options. We could try to connect here and then here. We would have to pay $10 to purple if we did. But in doing so, we would get 3 of these business bonuses. That's not bad, because then we can increase our income with our trains. But I'm thinking, you know what? We need to sell resources. And we want to, because remember, we're playing a balance game. So we're allowed to take contracts and all that stuff. I'm just trying to have higher grade workers. So my thoughts are, I want to connect to this white hub. And that's one of the things I wanted to look up in the rule book. And I want to sell to the white hub. Now, by connecting that way, I don't have to pay other players money, because my track is going a different direction than theirs. And so in doing so, I can, avoid having to pay them fees to go their direction. So that, I think, is more valuable than getting these little business tokens at the moment. And it's largely because, I can make $100 connecting to one of those by buying a, we determined it was $70. I could buy a stone factory, for example, and deliver stone to Sopron there and make $80 for the $10 investment. And that's exactly what I want to do. So we're going to go and build a factory. And I forgot to take the Teal's marker. So they built a factory, which is this action. And we're going to do the same. We're going to build a factory and follow suit. Okay, so we're going to make a stone factory. I I don't have 30 bucks. I only have 20. So I can't build an iron factory, but I can build a stone one for 10. Now, here's the problem. By building the stone one, oh, see, look, the amount of profit you make for delivering stone didn't go down, but eventually it does. So see, the third one makes it drop to $70. So, but it costs more to build that third one. It costs 20 instead of 10. So we were the last one to get the cheapest stone factory available. And that does require us to spend a worker, but that worker produces 3 resources instead of 2. This is why training workers was our strategy, right? So we're gonna go ahead and put our guy out there, but we make 3 cubes to Teal's 2 cubes. And so we can deliver 3 in various places. And that's something we definitely want to capitalize on. And that is our whole turn. So we just built a factory. We did 3. I think that covers everything. We're good to go. Okay, so, but we did lose our worker doing that. So that part wasn't nice, but that's okay. Okay, next up is purple. And as you can see, purple connected to Baden. And they have a similar dilemma. They need to get one more connection going. They're unable to do so because they have no resources. They only have 10 bucks as well. So they need to do the exact same thing Red's doing. And so they're going to collect 10 more bucks because they need to buy resources, or otherwise they're never going to get out of their situation. So 10 more bucks for purple. Now, purple could sell shares. The problem is purple's share value is 90 and they can't sell shares. Oh, they could take a contract. But if they do, then these get locked up. And they don't want to take a contract yet until they get a bigger train going. So they need a bigger train before they can do that. But if they did, then they could sell their shares and make some money that way. That is a very potential thing to do. It's just, you got to be careful. Now, the number of people, shareholders that come, like this one gives you 3, but you can take a smaller contract. We only need them to go up 2, right? We only need 2 more. So we would have to take a level 2 contract. And in doing so, that would put 2 guys on, and then we'd be able to sell shares for 90 bucks, right? So that's $90 immediately infused into Purple's hands. But then 2 of the train spots are locked up. So with that $90, you would have to upgrade your train to even be able to carry enough resources to lay more track. But you know what? That is actually very doable. You know what? We're going to redo Purple's turn here. We're not going to take the 10 bucks. We did say Purple's not going to be afraid to sell shares. So we're going to take a contract. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to take one of these level 2 contracts. And like, I don't know which one is the best to do. I mean, maybe try to go after some of the more lucrative ones, right? So let's go ahead and do this one, right? So I would need to make an iron mill and a iron factory and a coal factory. So Trump will take this particular contract, and in doing so, he gets 2 of these green investors. So those green investors are going to go here and here. So now he has green investors equal to his $90 share. Okay. So then for one of his free actions, he's going to sell shares. So he's going to get 90 bucks. So there you go. Trump's getting 90 bucks, which, you know, the other players don't have. So he's going to get 90 bucks. And this particular investor, of course, is paying him that 90 bucks. But now that investor moves up here, and at the end of the game, Trump owes 10% of all of his money to that player. It goes back to the bank. But so basically, the bank's going to take back 10% of his endgame money. So Trump has to make more money than the rest of us to be able to break even. And But that's the strategy. And is $90 worth it? Well, right now, he's the only guy who has 90 bucks. Everybody else is struggling with 20 bucks, 20 bucks, 30 bucks. So you can see the power of selling the shares. You can also see the temptation to not do it. And so by selling these shares, what that means then is Trump can maybe get things going a little quicker. Lay down more track, get connected and deliver goods, all without having to, waste an action just to collect 10 bucks. That's the idea. Now, the problem we have is for him to get the resources to lay more track, he needs 3 resources. He can only do 2 because of the limitation. But he can also theoretically do that action a second time. He would lose an influence, and then he can buy a resource immediately and then get his 3. But there's no reason to be that much of a rush. Like, he can get a factory going first, and then after the factory, he can, he's only going to get 3 actions this round. Factory will be one of them. And then the next one, he can upgrade his train to make his train a little bit longer. And he's got the money to do it. So he's going to position himself, or no, he would get 2 resources for the next round. That's actually what he would do. So he would do that and also build a factory. So he's got a nice little plan. And he's going to maybe build an iron factory because that's a little bit more expensive. Now, I haven't discussed the coal factories yet. The coal factories don't pay you money. They pay you keys. And so let's say you deliver coal to a blue hub. You would get this big key first, and then the second player who delivers coal would get a silver key, the gold key versus the silver. And you can see that every hub has spots for 2 coal deliveries. And it's not possible to get both coal or both keys. If you got the gold key, you cannot get the silver key. Somebody else is, so you're not eligible to deliver coal a second time. And so that's, something you got to be careful about. So what's the point of the keys? Keys are endgame points. And the way the endgame points work is, for example, the blue city here is sitting right here on 120. So that gold key is worth 120 bucks. Or 120 points, which money is points. The silver key is going to be worth 60. It's this little number in between that's next to it, to the left. So the silver key will be worth 60, the gold key is worth 120. And so the end game amount is going to be wherever this ends up, because remember, this moves up every time you deliver goods. So the gold key for this, the moment you deliver that coal, actually is going to move up to 130. So then the silver key is going to be worth 70 bucks. Okay, so delivering coal does not give you money though. And so it's one of those luxuries where, yeah, you get end game money, but you don't get current game money. And at the early rounds of the game, you really need some money to start the game. So these coal factories are something you sort of would build later. But they're important. You need coal for all sorts of reasons. So let's go ahead and keep going with the game. We're back to the top, and we have the teal player. And the teal player, what did they do last time? They built the factory. That's right. And so we need them to get to 50 bucks, but they can't because they're at 30 bucks. So we built a factory with them. What else would we like to do? I'm going to pause. Okay, so the teal player's situation is they have this factory built. They need 50 bucks to connect to Amstetten, and once they do, they can deliver a good, which will give them, I think, 80 bucks, which is the money they need to get the game going, right? So they're currently at 30 bucks, so they need to get to 50. So they're quite literally going to do this and get 10 so they can get towards their $50. They do not, at this point, need resources to lay more track. They do eventually need it, but right now they can lay track for money instead of resources. So their logic is they want to get to the 50 bucks, and they will, because they got one more action. They're going to get 10 more bucks, which will get them to 50. And remember, the laying track via the golden thing, this is a free action. And also for a free action is delivering a good. So they're going to be able to do both of these free actions after their next turn. They're going to get 10 more bucks. They'll have 50. They'll be able to spend the 50 to lay this track, and then they'll be able to deliver this good. Now, one more thing about the free actions. This and this are unlimited, but this one is once per turn. So once for each of these times you place one of these hand tokens. So you're allowed to deliver a good multiple times in a round, but not multiple times in a turn. Okay? We don't have to worry about that, but as the game goes on, just understand that you can't just deliver like 3 goods all on one shebang. Okay, so teal player is done. Next we move to red, who collected 10 bucks. And I forget what I was going to do with red. Oh, that's right. We were going to get resources. So red is going to place this on the resource thing right there. And we want to collect some resources. So for 20 bucks, red is going to take iron and stone. And then what these do is they go into his reserve. So at the start of the next round, at the appropriate step, he can load those on to his train. So the only thing he's missing now is the wood. And he may have to buy that some other time. Red is in a bit of a pickle. The things I've been wanting to do with red, I'm not feeling like I'm doing a good job. We got to get red some money. And I don't know if I'm doing the best at getting him money right away. That's the concern I have. But we're in it to win it now, and so let's go ahead and keep going. Okay, next is us for yellow. And we got a couple things we wanted to do, right? What do we do? We built the factory, and now we want to be able to deliver goods. So in order to deliver goods, we need to lay track. So that's exactly what we're going to do right there. So we're going to take our 3 resources to lay track. And our situation is we want to connect to the White Hub City. And to do so, we either go through this where we pay somebody, or we go there and there, which is 8 worker or 8 effort. And that's exactly what we have. 2, 4, 6, 8. I know I wanted to train workers, right? But training them to level 2 is very good. I think it'd be a little bit too greedy to go all the way to level 3 before we actually made any moves. I don't think that would be a good move on our part. So, but what I'm going to get to do is I get to lay 2 tracks while everybody else was only able to lay 1. So you see how that little bit of patience is possibly going to pay off. And I was able to maximize the use of my resources. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to this city, which lets me build 2 more factories. And then I'm going to connect to this city, which is a hub. I don't get anything for it. But now for my free action, I'm going to deliver a good. And I want to point out here that you do get to deliver a good, and this means from a factory, right? You can't deliver a good from your train. It has to be from a factory. And then you have to spend a coal, and that comes from your train or your warehouse or wherever. So the train engine can only carry a coal. This is a coal-only spot. These ones are any resource, but this one's coal only. But if I had coal here, I could have, or coal in any of these other spots, I could use that instead. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this coal. You have to spend a coal for your train to be able to deliver the goods from your factory. It's just part of the rules. The coal has to come from here, and then the resource has to come from your factory there. So 2 different locations for these resources. The coal from your player board, and then the resource from your factory, which is this. Okay, so the resource from the factory is going to go right on this location, and now nobody can deliver stone there again, and that includes us. So yeah, we have 2 more stone resources up there, but I have to go somewhere else to deliver that stone. So, you know, you could argue that having 3 resources on that factory was too much, because how am I going to find 2 other cities to deliver stone to? I mean, it's a good question. But remember, I could sometimes take that stone from the factory and put it on my train and use it to lay more track. So there's a lot of options. Okay, so we delivered the stone there. 2 things happen when we deliver the stone to Sopran. The first one is it moves up 1. So now the influence for that hub moved to 150. So it's even, harder to get to. The other one is we get the money. We get 80 bucks for delivering that stone. And that's what we're going to do right now. And so Trump is not the only one sitting with some money. And we were able to get our money without selling shares like Trump had to do. So this 80 money is without owing 10% at the end of the game. But it did take a bit of effort to get there, but we're there. So we now have some money. We can do some more interesting things in the next round, but we are also sort of stuck, right? Because we need to get more resources, lay more track. So we're basically going to have to pause a bit, build up a little bit more before we can, make our next move. Okay, we could build a second factory and deliver that factory also to there. That is possible, right? Because we got a lot of factory locations, and once you get the money to do one thing, now you got the money to do it again and again and again, and so that might actually happen. We'll see. Okay, so now we're to purple's turn, and I forgot what purple was going to do. I know I had it all planned out. Purple is rolling in the dough, and purple needs to build some more resources because he has to be able to lay more track. That's his first thing he needs to do. Yes, so we need to buy some resources. So we're going to spend 20 and buy 2 resources because that's all the more he can buy. And put this on the resource spot. And then the 2 that he's going to take, oh, I know. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to build a factory because the factory rush has started. And so he's going to build a iron factory for 30. And he has the money to do it. So we're going to go ahead and take one of these iron factories. Right? And that helps him to fulfill his contract that he took. And so this factory goes here for now. And he can put 3 resources on it or 2. And he's going to choose 2. He wants the factories to fulfill the contracts. He's not as concerned about other stuff, but he will, with 2 resources, he'll still be able to make some decent money with it. And he'll take 2 and put them like so. Okay? He does want to buy resources. It's just, he wanted to get the factory first because those are limited, whereas this, there's a lot of them left. Okay, so now we move back to the teal player. It's their turn, and it's really funny because I always figure out a strategy for them and then I forget what I'm doing. But now I remember. The teal player is going to go to the $10 spot to get 10 more bucks. So now with that $10, the teal player has 20, 30, 40, and then this is 50. So for a free action, we're going to spend 50 bucks to do this crown action. And just a reminder, the crown action, the reason it's 50 is you compare the 2 cities and you have to pay the higher number. So this number is 50. So that's the reason why we had to pay 50. And that lets us lay a track here. We don't have to spend any workers to do so. And we are now connected to Amstetten. And then because we're connected to Amstetten, we're going to do another free action to deliver a good from our factory. So remember, the coal has to come from your player board. So we got the coal. So we're going to spend the coal. And then the good from our factory is going to come from here. And it's a stone, just like our other stone. And we're going to deliver that to Amstetten. And then that's going to get a payout of 80 bucks, just like we received. So one thing you may notice is that red player is stuck. Everybody's gotten 80 bucks and the red player is still sitting there twiddling his thumbs. That's why I'm saying I think I played that player wrong. I probably should have done a different strategy to get this started because red player needs money and red player is just very, very stuck at the moment. I mean, he does have resources, so he's going to be able to lay more tracks soon. But yeah, it's a bad situation for him. Okay, so we got our 80 bucks, and that's it. That's the end of the turn for teal. Oh, no, that's not the end of the turn. Brown moves up one on the influence track. Okay, next up is the red player, the one we were just talking about. So he's got 2 of the 3 resources. He has 1 action left. He has no money. The 3rd resource he can get the next round, and that will be enough for him to lay more track. So we're okay there. The question is like, how does he get out of this predicament? And the answer is he doesn't yet. If he had some money, I would build a factory for him, but he doesn't even have that. So we're just going to collect 10 more bucks with him. So 2 of our players have just collected 20 bucks this round. So he's going to collect 10, and yeah, it's not ideal for him, but once he gets that 3rd resource, he'll be able to lay down more track and also build a factory, potentially, and he can actually deliver a good as well. Maybe. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of maybes going on here. All right, so then we go to yellow. That's us, right? We're connected to Sopran, and we know that we got a money-making machine going here, so why don't we make another factory? And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to spend, looking at the factories here, I want to spend 30 for one of these orange iron factories. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to spend 30, and the factory goes into our factory pool. And we're going to go ahead and take 30 bucks here and spend that. And, we lose one of our workers. That's the challenging part. But you're allowed to use a worker that's already been spent. But this one will put 3 resources out. And we're going to be, sorry, I stepped on my power cord there. We're going to be greedy. We're going to actually take up a spot. We have these 2 spots available to us over here, but these are only available to us and nobody else at the moment. So we're going to take the ones that are available to everybody else. And that's just how we roll, right? We're going to screw them over, which is why I'm not sure the red player is going to have have a factory spot available in time. But there you go. There's our 3 resources. And yes, we're running out of workers because we've spent 2 of our level 2 workers now, and we're down to 3. So that means we need to hire more workers. But the whole point, though, is look, I'm sitting on 70 bucks. I'm going to deliver another good that's going to get me 100 bucks. I'm going to have 170 bucks. I should be able to hire more workers. So the logic is there. Just, you just got to see it, right? And think it through. So no, I may not want to do this. Because look, to build another factory makes me lose. That's why I don't want to build another factory, folks. I don't know if I want to lose the influence. I need to think this through. No, I don't want to lose the influence. I'm taking the 30 bucks back. I actually need the influence to go up, folks, because if I want to buy new workers, they're expensive, unless I can get to blue or white influence. To get to the blue influence, I just need 1, 2, 3, I need 40 bucks. So if I spend 40 bucks to get to the blue, then I can hire workers from the blue track for dirt cheap. And that is the strategy that we're going to do. So I'm going to take this and move it here and spend 40 bucks to do exactly that. And then we're actually also going to get to go first. So there's my 40 bucks. I knew there was a reason why you can't just spam out a lot of factories. Now, next round I can do this, but this round I can't. So I'm going to put that worker back. I didn't lose him yet. And those resources back. Oh, and then the other thing is I couldn't, even if I would have built that factory, I can't deliver the good because I don't have another coal. So there's some things you got to do. Oh, and then I got to put this back. This right here. Yeah, it's not as simple as, I'm going to build a bunch of resources and sell a bunch. You need to have the coal. So, yes, there's an order to things here, and that's hard to sort out sometimes. But, okay, by doing what we did, we spent the 40 bucks. This now goes 10, 20, 30, 40. And now we're lined up with blue, and we're able to hire workers the next round for dirt cheap. And we happen to have 60 bucks, which, by the way, is enough to hire 3 more workers. But then we'll be back to zero money again. So it's real easy to spend that money, folks. The one thing that we may need to do is, because like we need also to get some coal. Buying another train is important too. So I may not hire those workers right away is where I'm going. So anyways, we'll move on. Purple is next. And we had a plan for purple. I'm trying to remember now. We need to get resources. That's what it is. So we're going to go... Nope, we already got the 2 resources. Purple did something else. Purple built a factory. I put the marker in the wrong space. Purple built a factory. Now they're going to get the resources. That's what that is. Okay. So here we go. Here's the 20 bucks from purple. Like so. And we're going to take 2 resources from here. And purple has a iron factory. So they're going to take wood and they're going to take these 2 for 10 each. And then remember, those go into the reserve section. Now this is the part that's unfortunate. If we would have just gotten a higher number, like if you gotten a 3 or higher, you could buy all the resources you need to lay more track all in one round. And now we can't do that. And so it really slows down the early game. And it's just the randomness of it. And then the other thing that slowed down the early game is having, 3 4s, right? A 4, a 4, a 4, and a 3. That slowed down the early game. So we're getting hammered a bit that, in your game, if you ever play this, you may actually have a better situation and the game would move a little bit quicker. But okay, that rounds up the actions for the round. And then, of course, you would check for endgame. And that, of course, has not happened. It's not round 8, and no one is even close to connecting to Trieste. And so we then move to round 3. And I will do that in the next video. I'm only at 52 minutes, so even with all my gabbing, it's 50 minutes a round. I think people were saying this is a 3-hour game. I tell you what, if it's a learning game for people, this is going to be a lot longer than 3 hours. Just, having to explain people and answer questions. I'm trying to decide if I can do another round. And no, it's a work night. I got to go to work. So anyways, I hope you're enjoying this playthrough. The little schizophrenic thing, I'm trying my best to do what players would do. I am trying to hold true to certain philosophies, which may not be what a player would do. But, some of this is like for my own experimentation. If, delaying this delayed gratification strategy that we're doing, it might actually pay off and be worth it in the long run. And so that's what I'm trying to decide. Or, the Trump strategy of selling shares right away for 90 bucks. That sounds ridiculous to only get 90 bucks and then lose 10% of all your endgame money. But he has 90 bucks now that nobody else has. And the moment he lays that track to a hub city, he's going to be able to sell a resource because he still has a coal, right? So he has a factory, he has his coal. He's going to be able to deliver a resource right away. And then boom, he's going to get another 100 bucks on top of the 90. So like Trump is already ahead of us in money and everybody else is still struggling. So hopefully you're seeing the different pools of the strategies here and how the strategies pull against each other. And it's really hard to predict which one's the better way to go. So I'm tending to believe that because the designer put such a stiff penalty for selling shares, that the selling the shares is actually the more powerful way to go. That it's the juice is worth the squeeze. But I just don't know where the juice is worth the squeeze. Anyways, thanks for watching.